Okay, good evening. This is Ron. A little after 6 p.m.
I think we just lost Ron. We'll put us on pause till he comes back.
Sorry about that. Again, this is Ron. We'll go ahead and get started here and see where we are. Uh, and yesterday again, we started at talking about what we had been talking about the last few days and in the conversation. Uh, Actually, I don't remember most of it, but we still were kind of summing up some of the points that we made from watching the video. Uh, And I remember the one thing I asked you guys to do is to kind of hold your questions. If you had anything else from the video or from anything that was said yesterday. Also, if you had anything from uh, earlier in the week or so that we may have to discuss if you have seen. Anybody? Any questions? Okay, no questions. I got something I want to look. I think it kind of touches on a little bit of Habakkuk. We were using what we were talking about from the video, and we went into Habakkuk some yesterday again to look at who we are and how that ties into us, and what that scripture means, and we're at the point now we have been for a while, but I mean really so now, just taking ownership of everything. There's no more fear. There's nothing that we shrink back from that resonates with us. And if everything has a rhythm, we know that we are one with the universe and what that feels like. Uh, so that's where we are. And I think that is a very interesting place. And I want to show you something here. Uh, Look at Matthew chapter 19, please. Matthew chapter 19. Verse 16 says, and behold, Matthew chapter 19, verse 16 says, and behold, one came to him and said, Teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may obtain eternal life? And he said unto him, why are you asking me about what is good? There is only one who is good. But if you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments. If you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments. And he said, which ones? And Jesus said, you should not commit murder. You should not commit adultery. You should not steal. You should not bear false witness. Honor your father and your mother. You should love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, all these things I have kept. What am I lacking? And Jesus said to him, if you wish to be complete, go and sell your possessions and give them to the poor, and you shall have treasures in heaven, and come and follow me. Okay. There's a lot in there, a lot that I like to talk about. I liking the commandments or the utterances that Jesus talked to him about the principles of Mayat, and what that means. And so we'll get into that for a minute. But I see, as we study this, we've talked about pulling truth out of the stories that the scriptures are. And I'm trying to pull this together, and I hope it makes sense. to have a better look at Jesus, or son, S-O-N. That may make more sense and not be as confusion as we pull this stuff, these truths out. I was reading something. This is kind of an example of what I'm talking about. And I've said this before, and I hope it makes sense. But if not, ask me questions. There is a relationship between the sun, S-U-N, a tree, and the soil. That relationship is the sun shines, and the sun shines on the leaves and on the tree, and the sun is absorbed by the leaves. And that process we call photosynthesis is what changes the leaves into food for the tree, changes that moisture and substance that's in the leaves, gives it to the tree. Also, the tree is pulling nutrients, soil, moisture, and food from the soil. The tree is also giving food to the soil, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So when you look at that relationship, one doesn't exist or exist without the other, and they all work harmoniously. At the end of that cycle, what happens is when the leaves have given all that they can from themselves, the tree pushes them off. The tree actually releases the leaves, and the leaves fall to the ground. But the leaves don't just fall to the ground. The leaves turn into compost. The leaves turn into something else, and they keep giving. And it not only keeps the root of the tree warm, it still provides nutrients as it mixes with the soil. So this thing is a cycle. It just keeps revolving and revolving and revolving. So as this tree goes through winter, the nutrients inside of the tree is enough to sustain the tree through those harsh days. And not only is it able to sustain the tree, but it also is able to provide nutrients in the soil for other trees.
Right.
So this is, it goes again. Somebody say something?
Yep.
Said, how are you?
Oh, I didn't hear that. Okay, fine. Anyway,
I feel like I have to get new glasses, something. It's like my eyes are.
Richard, can you please mute for us?
I can't see anything anymore. I'll be reading with these glasses and I'm like, I'm trying to find
Richard.
a good spot.
Richard,
well, I think,
These are just reading glasses.
yeah, well, your eyes,
Find some-
can someone
your
please send
eyes
him a
are
text maybe?
maturing.
I'm
Hey,
gonna go
did you
ahead and
ever
mute
call
him,
the
okay?
hotel back to
Okay,
tell
that's
in
fine.
Montreal to tell them we were gonna be late?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I hope what I've said made sense to us so far about the relationship between the sun and what I see there is how that mirrors what else I say here. The sun also has a relationship
Ron, you're breaking up.
with the human. And a video, see if that helps. Okay, let's see if that helps. That sound better?
Yes.
Okay, so as the skin absorbs the sun, it goes into activating the melanin in the body, and it produces more melanin, and so it not only that, it produces more so it can thicken the skin so that the skin does not cause cancer or something. This is I'm talking primarily in African, okay? So the melanin also does something else. It activates the melanin in the spinal cord and in the pineal gland, and it starts it to flow. This is when it starts to absorb the energy from the sun. So you start something here, and it activates itself inside of you, and that's why uh, we talk about being in rhythm wishing. It's something that you've always had. It's something that has always been there, and it's something that we have always taken for granted. But it is a very highly spiritual thing. And
I'm on
just
now.
as I mentioned, okay, I'm kind of trying to explain this thing, but just like lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Um, just like I mentioned, the soil and the relationship the soil has with the tree. If you can see the soil being consciousness, this is also being added in the human as well. So as we vibrate, we let off that energy that we are, and it also can be absorbed or felt in other people. So much like the tree, you have the ability to be more than just uh I don't want to use the word selfish, but you have the ability to nourish more than just yourselves. And that is one of the purposes of the vibrations, so it can be felt by others. And what we have done with it, a lot of it is it resonates through our music, it resonates through our speech, but it is also a highly spiritual thing that allows us to reach and excel into other realms and to see things. So that's why we have talked about the Dogons and other people in the past, other people in the Kushite kingdom who were highly spiritual, and the relationship that they had to mankind. So why am I laying this out there like this? What I am hoping to see is when we talk about Jesus, or we talk about the Son, we are not talking about the Son of God, S-O-N. What we are talking about is a relationship that mankind has with the S-U-N. And so when we see Jesus in the scripture, think of it as the source of energy, the source of your vibration, the source of your enlightenment, the source of our oneness and us coming together, the source of everything that we see with our third eye. Okay. And see if that works, or if that feels better than to trying to uh deal with the name Jesus when we know that is not an accurate statement. I hope I didn't mess this up too bad. Does anybody kind of see what I'm saying? Can you help me here, or what ask me a question? Does that mean it made sense?
This is Vermel. There's something about it that resonates, what you said. I think I'm getting, my question is, the melanin that we get from the sun is similar to the leaves of a tree?
I was using the leaves of a tree as an example the relationship between the sun and the tree is the sun provides heat, it provides energy that is stored in the tree for food. It is absorbed by the tree to become something more than what it is. It is there also to assist and the Africa, now specifically the sun doesn't, it'll wake them in
Ron,
your
you breaking up.
skin.
You
So
breaking up.
as your skin absorbs it, and yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to go to my phone because I don't, I've already taken my picture now.
Um,
Okay, y'all keep talking for a minute to my phone, please.
when you talk about the relationship, you said that the leaves feeds the tree. So we talk about photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is what feeds the tree. And the sun, the example of that, I suppose, is that we are the leaves. We are receiving the energy from the sun. And in doing so, we also receiving the vibration of the universe. And when we are functioning the way we were created to function, then we become a source of life and light to all of those around us. As a matter of fact, to everything that's on the earth. And because of that, not only are we offering life and light to the earth, but the earth itself returns that by offering light and life to us as well. And the way the earth does it is in a more of a physical manner, a material manner, in that the earth provides the necessities to keep our bodies alive, just like that physical tree provides a source. I'm sorry, that like the leaves keep the tree alive, and then the tree in return stays alive because of what's stored in the root of it, and it is able to give life to the leaves in the next season. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
I think I explained it wrong. I don't know.
Okay, well, and so the sun is real. I don't know how much Pastor said is activated. That the melanin is in every organ in the body, but the sun helps to activate it. It creates heat. It creates energy, and we are that energy. This is what we do on the phone is a part of that being stirred up. But that energy is in everyone, especially the Africans. So when we look at this, it has a way of activating us and opening you up to receive more. The other thing about us, and I don't want this to be confusing at all, is we are humans becoming. We are always becoming something, and when we it is a natural thing.
Ron, before you go to that,
Okay.
May I ask a question about,
Of course.
the activation of the melanin? Because melanin is always there. It is there, and it is constantly being activated by the sun. But the question is, what is your mindset? That is what determines the usage of it, how you process, and what your desires are. That melanin can give you the strength to become who you were created to be, or that melanin can give you the strength, the intellect, and whatever is necessary for you to buy into what you have been programmed to do, or what you have been indoctrinated to do, and that is you began to be more of a Christian than a Christian, or you began to use the light and the energy of that melanin to tie yourself tightly to the European mindset that you've been indoctrinated with. Does that make sense?
It does.
It
It does
does.
indeed. Yeah. So, any questions about that, y'all? So again, these verses that I read, I read Matthew 19. I started with 16. When the rich young ruler says, or the man says, that has a lot of stuff. There's a key here. The key is his being young, and the key, another key is him having a large possession. This is significant, of course, in a very practical way, and is also significant in a spiritual way. And that is an example of what Pastor just said. So you look at this, and he says, as we look at the journey that we've taken, and as Pastor said, your melanin is being activated all the time, but for what purpose and what direction do you go? Do you want to seek divinity? Do you want to seek truth? Because it opens you up to see things. So what journey do you want to take? Do you follow anger? Do you follow greed? Do you follow selfishness? So he says this guy, he says, in verse 18, he said, keep the commandments. And he said, which one? And Jesus named them. And what I saw there is, as we looked at the 42 principles of Mayot, were not meant to be memorized. They were meant to become. So we are humans becoming something. What are you becoming? And as one of the reasons I use the trees as an example, I thought it was a perfect example, but I also thought it is a great example for looking at the environment, becoming one with everything around you, becoming one with your surroundings. In the winter, that tree provides nourishment in the soil for other trees that may be struggling. So as you understand who you are, and recognize the energy in you, and recognize all of the melanin, or if you will, or the nutrients that you have to offer, your vibration is shared with everybody else. So he looks at this and he says, I have done this all of my life, or since my youth. You have memorized it, but you have not given of yourself. You have not become. So as we move on this phone, and we're getting into the place where, as we said, that there are times along this journey, some of the things we've talked about fear, we've talked about the anxiety, we've talked about the being the distractions and not knowing which way to turn when we see something else pop up. And we've moved past all that. Maybe not totally, but we have an understanding enough now to know who we are and understand this from a much deeper perspective, and to know that this vibration, this rhythm that you feel, and this connection that you feel with these people on this phone is no coincidence. And the connection that you feel when you see somebody at a job or on television or something that is hurting, and you meditate for them, you speak to the universe on their behalf. You are one with everything. You are like this guy in the spiritual sense, that you have much. You have everything that the universe has to offer. In a practical, earthly sense, we're not talking about your material wealth. But because if you decide, I don't want this, or I want to use it to get wealth, I want to use this for personal or selfish reasons, then yes, your accumulation will be something. You will accumulate something, because that is who we are. That is how we are made. You are always becoming something.
May I add something?
Please, sir.
Take no thought for tomorrow, because tomorrow has enough whatever of its own. What is it saying? Be concerned about who you are in the now. Don't be concerned about how you're going to feed yourself, the wealth, the material things in your life. Be concerned about the now. So what is the now? The now has nothing to do with materialism. The now has everything to do with spirituality. If you occupy your thoughts and you have your focus on who you are spiritually, then everything else that is needed will be added. How many times have we been in a predicament, or maybe had a bill, or maybe had something that we needed, and when we look at it retrospectively, we don't know where it came from or how it got to us or who gave it or whatever, but it was taken care of. Take no thought. Why? Because tomorrow has enough troubles of its own. Just live in the now. And when you live in the now, tomorrow never comes, because you're always in that, you're always in the now, focused on the essence of who you are, knowing that the more you focus on that, the more you become aware of the essence of your being. Thank you. I hope that helps.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Okay.
Good evening, family. Is melanin is in everything? And if so, does everything get activated?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, I appreciate it. Go ahead.
Nothing lives without melanin. Absolutely nothing. And melanin is activated. As we said, activation of melanin or does not determine what you're going to do with it. Activation with melanin is determined. What happens with it is determined by you. No different than if you had $1 million, the dollars can't tell you what to do with it. You do with it what you choose. You can be a philanthropist and take care of people who need it, or you can be greedy and just seek to increase it for you and you alone. Melanin, see melanin the same way. You can use the melanin for the benefit of humanity, and that is becoming aware of who you are, or you don't have to. Does that make sense?
It does, because when I cut a fruit or when I peel a banana, I notice that there's the brownness of the fruit, whatever. So is that the same thing as melanin being in that fruit?
I don't know that, because melanin is not necessarily visible in that fruit. Melanin is one of those chemicals that does not appear on the chart. Melanin is one of those chemicals that's not ever discussed because of the properties of it. So it is not necessarily seen visibly in a fruit, or visibly in any place, matter of fact. So, and the way that you described it, no, ma'am, does that make sense? It's
so,
like you can't see oxygen. You can't see nitrogen, but it exists. But it's on the periodical chart, but melanin is not. Does that make sense?
it does,
Melanin,
but I'm wondering if, I'm sorry, are you?
No, go ahead, Ellen.
Well, I was going to say, so the result of the melanin, is that what not turn the fruit brown once you cut it, or?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, ma'am. The exposure to air is what begins to turn fruit brown, because that's the beginning of the rotting stage.
That makes sense.
Okay.
If I can add this, and I'm gonna tell you which part of this is my opinion. What is not my opinion is melanin is starting to gain more attention from scientists, and to understand it, and what they see and believe is that melanin is in everything. Is in the plant life, is in the environment, is in everything. What my opinion is that is for the benefit of the African. And what do I mean by that? The scripture says the whole earth waits for man. Somewhere in 1 Corinthians, I don't remember. So can it be that as we understand our rhythm and understand who we are, that it is so much more easier to connect to enlightenment, because enlightenment is waiting on us. Everything is already that lives. A tree does not struggle being a tree. A blade of grass does not struggle being a blade of grass. The only thing that struggles is man to see who he is. So if melanin is in everything, then it is waiting for man to recognize who he is, so that we can be a community again, so that we can be one. We can all be in one rhythm.
I have one more question. When the melanin is activated, does that make us vibrate? When it's activated, do we vibrate?
Yes. Excuse me. I'm sorry, y'all. That is exactly right. It increases your energy. It increases your vibration. It increases your rhythm, and that is what we feel on this phone when we talk. It is felt in your words. It is felt in your understanding when you read something or when you see something. When you have that aha moment, you are giving off that energy. So it is, at lack of a better term, I call it magical. It's something that can't be seen or felt, but it is there, and we recognize it because we feel it. I don't know what else to describe it, as Pastor said.
That resonates what you're saying. That makes sense. Thank you.
Melanin is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. I was finished.
As Evelyn was talking, it just reminded me. Melanin is like when it's activated and we have the right purpose, the right principles, the rules of the universe. The principles of Maya, we're functioning in that way. We are resonating at the universe's own resonance level in various ways. There's a resonance for truth. There's a specific resonance for balance, for harmony, etc.
Yeah.
And so when we are in line with the universe, we resonate in tune with the universe. But if melanin is used for a purpose adverse to what it was created for, i.e. selfishness, anger, etc., it's like an orchestra playing, and every single instrument in the orchestra is playing a discordant chord, meaning that it's playing its own chord, and it's a terrible sound because there's no beauty to it. There's no balance to it. There's no harmony. You can even, these are the words we even use when we speak of things like music. So music is a symbolic way of looking at what it means to be in sync with, to be in accord with, to be attuned with and to the resonance of the universe, if that resonates.
Very much so.
It does. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Very much so. Anyone else? Any questions or comments so far? Verse 21 is one that kind of got me. That kind of I liked about this. It says, Jesus said to him, "If you wish to be complete, go do blank, blank, blank." As I said with the name Jesus, Jesus represents the Son. This is not a S-O-N, this is the S-U-N. In other words, the Creator constantly gives you opportunity. It never stops to feel and hear vibrations. Feel and hear vibrations. This is ever before us. And as Barb said, you use it the way you desire to use it, whatever is in you, but it is always available to you. So do you wish to be complete? This is a person who is religious. This is a person who has a background in what is right and what is wrong, and has been shown what these principles look like, but has chosen not to be submissive. As I said, we're all submissive to something. You are submissive to greed, you are submissive to selfishness, or you are submissive to the cause of being right and being enlightenment for mankind. It all goes back, being complete goes back to when we first started talking about giving up your free will. What are you willing to become? What are you willing to become to be one with the Creator? So completeness talks about wholeness. Completeness talking about being sacred. In other words, I'm always open to receive. I'm always ready to see enlightenment. I'm always ready to share something. I've given up those selfish desires so that I can see them more. And I can't remember who it was. I think Nick that or might have been Kathy that said you never become less. You can never become less. You're always being elevated. You're always being moved to something higher than what you are. So he said, if you want to be complete, and this also points to the fact that this is a journey. This is a journey. We are constantly being tested. We are constantly being asked the question, how much of this do you want, Ron? What's the next thing here? What is it that I see on TV? What is it? What are you tired yet? Are you looking at this from the eyes or from the eye? What is it that you see? So go and sell your possessions. Go and get rid of all that stuff. And then we'll worry about, or we'll work on getting rid of the other stuff that those religious principles have put in you. Those other things that you value. Those thoughts that you value, those the things that make you wrong, the things that you think are valuable to you. Are you willing to give all of that up? So and give what you have to the poor. Give those to the poor. In the practical sense, we already know what that means. But in the spiritual sense, as we're saying, those that are spiritually poor, who they might be billionaires, but if they don't know the Creator, that's the poverty here. So it is not necessarily I'm going to sit down and talk to everybody in the earth, but as I feel the rhythm and the vibration, as I feel and appreciate the consciousness of the earth, meaning I am grounded with the earth, then I change the consciousness of the earth and the universe. So he in the end, he says, when you do all this, come and follow me. Leave yourself behind and follow me. That's the journey. Where are we, y'all? What you think? No more questions? Does it make sense? Am I still on?
You're still on. Yes, it
Ye-
does make
It makes sense,
It's
Mom.
vibrating.
Yes, thank you.
We are in the midst of something awesome here, not something to be we're at a stopping point, a move. We are at the place where we are being what we have asked for. Yes, sir.
No, I'm sorry. I was out, and I heard you say, "Are you there?" So I was trying to get back.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. You have something you want to add, Pastor?
No, I from what I heard, because like I said, I went out. Everything makes sense to me. I'm hoping that it's clear to everyone else, and I don't think that we are finished with this. Why? Because as you said, they're taking notice of melanin now more so than they ever did. They've always known it existed, but they knew the properties of it, and that's why they didn't talk about the existence of it, because the melanin was more applicable to the African than anyone else on earth. And of course, they were not going to talk about it at all. And with it being necessary for life, regardless of what that life is, you would have thought that you would learn something about it in med school. But most, I don't know any doctors other than those of color who know anything about melanin or even heard of it for that matter. So I'm sure that we're going to be talking about this again.
I have a question before we end. So you think that was done on purpose for them not knowing what melanin is? You think that was done on purpose by the Creator?
I don't think that. I don't think that. I think it was. I know it was done on purpose by Europeans. But we're not important enough to have any properties that's dominant in us that has any use for them. As far as the Creator is concerned, the Creator gave us opportunity. Look at what Imhotep did. Imhotep was the first physician on the face of the earth. Imhotep is the one who developed the idea of medicine and laid the foundation for physicians and surgery, for that matter. So we already knew, but it was hidden by Europeans. And melanin has been the idea of melanin, the existence of it, and the necessity of it for life. They've always known that. So it was not hidden haphazardly, and I don't think the Creator did it because the Creator told us to that we are to dominate this realm. It was on us that we did not follow through as we should have. We have a lot on our shoulders as Africans for not following through with our spirituality. And the reason it was so difficult, I suppose, for us to do that is because we were not a warlike people. And that was the only reason that the Greeks and the Romans were able to do what they did, because we were not going to behead anybody or be brutal toward humans in order to protect anything. So that's my response to that. I hope it makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the valuable things I got from looking at this is now when I see Jesus, the name Jesus, I don't see it as what I've been taught that means. I see it as the energy or the answer to what is in me and the direction I'm moving in. For example, if you are trying to create wealth and move in that direction, this is not a conversation inside of you. This is a conversation inside of us. That's what this is about. So this does not come up inside of you. So when you see this is that that part that wants to activate, that when you feel that rhythm or that connection part that wants to show you more, that wants to send you on a journey. So this is that enlightenment. This is the activated, the results of the melanin being activated inside of you. And I hope that's not confusion. I guess we'll think about it for a few days and hopefully it'll make sense. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I had something.
Of course.
I think that it may be sometimes difficult or sound a little confusing because it's something that we are not accustomed to, a way of thinking that we are not accustomed to. And as we began to see with a greater clarity how fearfully and wonderfully we are made, when we began to see with a greater clarity what spirituality looks like and the experiences thereof, it's going to be a bit confusing because it's a different language, but it does get clearer. And we have, when it becomes clearer, it's not so much that we can regurgitate it or that we can remember it verbatim. It's the experiences that we have with it that gives us the clarity. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I hope this made sense, y'all. So, and no need in keeping it for having any thoughts or questions about it. But thank you. Appreciate everybody's attention. And if you do have questions, please jot them down and we'll resume Saturday. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.